This is a standard cluster mounting that you can buy from many finding companies that is made for a center colored stone surrounded by diamonds. Mount the pendant in jet set to hold it while setting, and begin cutting the seats for the diamonds using a 45-degree heart burr, the exact size of the diamonds. Start with the burr on an angle and undercut the center prongs. Then, lifting straight up on the burr shaft, cut down on the outside prongs. We're cutting an undercut seat in the center prongs and cutting a straight seat in the outside prong. Go around the pendant and cut the seats for all of the diamonds. Because the diamonds are all the same size, we can use the same burr for each seat. Once all of the seats are cut, use a bristle brush in your flex shaft and polish the mounting. Because of the small size, the burrs left on the edges of the prongs are polished off with the bristle brush, and we don't need to do any more cleanup on them than just a good polishing with the brush. Next, we place the stones into the seats, and using a prong pusher, begin pushing in on the outside prong to secure the diamond in the undercut seat on the inside prongs. The top prong attached to the bail may be soldered too far up on the prong, and you may need to use a fine saw blade, such as 6 or 8/0, and cut down just a little to the line of the girdle before you can push the prong over. Go around the mounting, working each prong down a little bit, but don't push the prongs all the way down just yet. Then go back with the prong pusher at the top of the prong and push it down onto the stone. By working all the prongs down a little at a time helps keep the stones evenly spaced and straight. The last step is to use a large beading tool that's just large enough to fit over the tip of the prong. By using a beading tool, we can make sure the tip of the prong is down tight on the crown of the diamond and also round off the prong tip. You want to make sure that the beading tool fits over the prong, but not so large that it will hit the diamond as you roll it around. Next, use a probe or point of a tweezer and make certain all the diamonds are tight. If the seat is cut properly, you should be able to set your stone tight by only moving the outside prong and not adjusting the inside prongs. Use a bristle brush and polish the prongs, and be certain to remove any marks or lines left from the prong pusher or the beading tool. The next step is to set the center stone. This mounting has 4 of the center prongs for the diamonds that extend up taller. It's those 4 prongs we use to set our center stone. Use a straight-sided setting burr with a diameter approximately the width of the oval stone that we are setting. Cut the seat into each of the prongs. Then, set the stone in upside down. This way we don't have the large belly of the stone interfering in placing the stone in the seat, and we can check the girdle to make sure it fits in the seat. Check all 4 prongs to be certain that the girdle fits the seat properly. If the stone fits the seat in this manner, then we have the seat cut correctly and we do not have to do any more work to the prongs. Next, we need to cut the mounting to make room for the pavilion of the stone. You can use a bud burr or ball burr a little smaller than the diameter of the stone. You want to examine the profile of the stone first and then try to match that as closely as possible. Because colored stones are cut deeper and the pavilion has more of a belly than a straight pavilion facet, we need to cut away some of the mounting to allow for clearance. Test the stone often. A lot of this cutting is trial and error. Because it's a prong setting, it's open, and we can view down the side of the stone and see where it's hitting the mounting. Then remove the stone and go back and trim out the little areas where the stone was hitting. Then replace the stone and check again. It's just a lot of trial and error. Cut a little, then check the stone in the mounting, cut a little more, and just keep checking until the stone fits into the seat. You want the girdle of the stone resting in the seat and the pavilion of the stone free from touching any of the mounting at any place. Before setting the stone, take a flat graver and trim the burrs off the side of the prongs. Because we've done a little more cutting here than we did with the diamonds, there are some burrs left that are a little bit larger and we need to trim those off so the prongs are neat and clean. They say the difference between the ordinary and the extraordinary is that little extra. This step is that little extra to make sure you're doing an extraordinary job of setting the stone. The last step before setting the stone is to use your bristle brush and polish the insides of the prongs, the inside of the mounting. Anywhere that you will not be able to reach once the stone is set needs to be polished at this time. Now we're ready to set the stone. Because we're setting an emerald that will not take any of the heat or abuse needed to remove it from the jet set, we take the mounting out of the jet set, polish and clean it before setting the stone. We'll do very little work to the mounting once the stone is set to limit the possibility of damaging the fragile emerald. To begin setting, use chain nose pliers to start bending the tips over the stone. Then take a brass prong pusher and begin pushing the prong down onto the stone. We want to use brass here because it's a little softer and won't nick the prong as easily as a steel pusher, resulting in less cleanup on the prongs after the stone is set. Don't push the prong all the way over at once or your stone might become crooked. Just keep working around the 4 prongs. Push one prong down a little bit, then go to the opposite prong and push it down a little bit, and then do the 2 prongs in between. Work each prong a little bit at a time until all the prongs are down onto the stone's crown. As a final step, I like to use a large beading tool that will just fit over the prong, but not so far that it will hit the stone. Work it around to round off the tip of the prong. It'll burnish the metal down onto the stone a little better and just finish off the setting. Once that's done, use a little rouge on a bristle brush to polish it. Do not put the emerald in the ultrasonic to clean it. Soak it in soapy water and scrub it with a soft brush, and the pendant is ready to deliver to your customer.